Hello there and welcome to this video, which is all about how to understand whether the emotions that you're experiencing are your own or whether they're somebody else's. So many of us sensitive folk tend to struggle with the line between what's ours and what's other people's. We're also really sensitive to picking up what other people are carrying too. So if this topic resonates, then stay tuned because we're going to get stuck into this. So welcome. Just before we get started, if you're new, my name is Nicola. I'm a yoga teacher and a yoga therapist, and I'm also highly sensitive as well as neurodivergent, and emotions have been a big thing that I've had to work with in my own body, but also in my work as well, and with my family who are also extra sensitive and neurodivergent. So it seemed like this would be a really good topic to talk about, and I definitely haven't got it mastered at all, but there are some things that I think would be helpful to share with you, things that I have been practicing and that have really helped me to understand whether it's mine or somebody else's. So, emotions as a topic for sensitive folk is a big one, because not only are we more sensitive to what's going on around us, which can then affect our internal state, we do tend to pick up on other people's emotions, of course, and we can get stuck in that role of tending to other people's needs and kind of get drawn into the outside world. We might become the carer, the helper. Maybe even in our work we can become, in those kind of very helping roles. And part of my makeup, if you like, and a lot of sensitive folk, is this hyper empathy, this hyper compassion. We can feel so deeply compassionate for other people that we can get lost. And if this comes along with really struggling to tend to your own needs and losing that thread to yourself, then that's when the line between me and the other becomes blurred, which I think, definitely feeds into it. And I thought that it would be good to talk about this topic as well, because it is the summer, or at least at the time that I'm recording this, it's the summer holidays. If you've got family, kids at home, then there's a lot of emotions around. There's no reprieve with them kind of going to school and just, being able to reset yourself. You're around each other a lot more. There's a lot more social time during the summer, whether you've got kids or not. So all of those things, it seemed quite a good idea to do this video. So let's get started then. It's a bit of a journey knowing when an emotion is yours and when it is not. But I guess the first thing that has become apparent to me is to notice when an emotion comes in. Does it come in quickly, suddenly, out of nowhere? Or perhaps on reflection, is there a slow build? Is there something underneath it that's been kind of building and building and then it's kind of washed over you? This isn't 100% foolproof, but often if something comes in quick for me and I've not been expecting it, it's usually somebody else's. It might be that I've just walked into a situation with my children and they've been having a disagreement or something, and then I've just been completely overwhelmed with whatever their feeling is, and it can really affect my internal state. That's not to say that I'm able to kind of realise that in the moment, but over time you can build that awareness in. And if that's the case, and you know that you've walked into a situation and you've taken on somebody else's emotions, if you can, exit the building, my friend. Get out of there for a moment. It's not always practical, I know, but if you can, just take some time to recenter. So for me, with a yoga practice and a meditation practice, it will just be pausing, taking some deep breaths, dropping my awareness into my body and reminding myself that I'm me, that I'm on the ground, that I'm in this space. So yes, obviously this isn't always the case. So sometimes an emotion can come in quickly because something has been triggered for us. So I just wanted to raise that, because sometimes it can still be our emotion, but it's maybe a deep-seated wound that has been triggered by something very specific. So I did want to call that out. That is possible. But it can give you kind of a bit of a structure to go on. So the second thing that you can do to decide whether it's yours or not is actually just to check in with the people around you. Like, are you okay? I'm getting a sense of anxiety and I'm not sure if it's mine. Are you feeling a bit anxious about something? And it might be that that person hasn't got insight into themselves and they might say, oh, no, I'm fine. But maybe you can use your spidey senses, your extra sensitive self to kind of tune in and intuit. Actually, I think maybe there is something going on for them. And again, it's just taking that conscious awareness and making this a practice, rather than just letting it happen. It's just being aware and making that decision. Right, I'm going to choose to actively investigate or be curious about whether these feelings are mine or not. So yeah, checking in with other people. So the third one, and this is super important, really, really important, and it feeds into the first 2 points, is to pause. So much of us, sensitive or not, so many of us we spend most of our time being reactive rather than responsive, and the two are very different. When we react, we just straight in the moment, if something happens, we react. And if only we could practice that pause a little bit more often, because if we have just a small gap, it means we're able to kind of evaluate and then respond a bit better. Obviously, it's not always able to happen. Things, if there's a dangerous situation, you're going to react very impulsively. But in these social situations where we're with friends or family, maybe we can take ourselves off to the toilet for a little toilet break. And you might need the toilet, or you could just stay in there, pop the lid, sit on the toilet and just, again, pause. Notice how you're feeling. Notice where in your body you're having sensation. You can kind of tune in, is this mine, or is there something about this situation? Because sometimes it's the situation that's giving rise to an emotion, in which case it is ours. And you can compare. So if you're feeling a sense of, anxiety about something, let's stick with that one, and you're in a group situation, you can take yourself off maybe to the toilet and go, okay, I'm feeling this in my body. When else have I felt in this way? When else have I felt anxious? Does it feel similar, the same, or has it got a different quality to it? And, you can maybe then think, okay, it might not be mine. If it feels a bit different, a bit clunky, it might not be mine. And the other thing to do outside of the situation itself is, and obviously I'm going to talk about practices such as yoga and mindfulness, because they are so good at developing our own body intelligence, if you like. But when we practice mindful practices like a very real slow flow yoga or any somatic work or any body work, we can become really deeply understanding of how different emotions feel in our body. And when we become skilled in that, it's much more easy to decide if it's ours or not, because our emotions will feel familiar to us, whereas other people's might feel a little bit different and kind of out of kilter. So they are my thoughts about how to decide whether it's your emotion or not. I also think it's useful to have a journal practice, writing things down and how they feel. If it's tricky for you to sense in your body and just tap into how you're feeling, then it can be useful to combine the two. So doing practices where you can conjure up a situation that makes you feel a certain way, notice where that feeling is in your body, and then write it down and explore that further really helps to have that connection between feeling it and expressing it. And again, that just further builds your intelligence about how you feel emotion, which hopefully will inform you into deciding whether or not that emotion is yours or not. They're the thoughts that I had. If you've got any more, pop them in the comments below. And really, I guess just to say that if you are a sensitive person or a neurodivergent person, just giving yourself grace, because interacting with other people is hard, especially when maybe interacting with people that maybe don't understand you or don't get your sensitive nature, or just don't really understand what it means to be sensitive, and it can be really difficult. So just giving yourself grace, really, that it is hard and sometimes we're not going to get it right. The best thing you can do as a sensitive or a neurodivergent person is to just give yourself time time to process, time to understand, and know that it is a bit of a journey with understanding emotions. And it's okay if, you know, now and again you get swept up in somebody else's emotion and then suddenly afterwards you realise, oh my gosh, that wasn't even mine. It happens. We're human after all. Okay, that's all I've got to say, other than to just thank you for being here. Thank you for watching and listening. If you feel this was a useful video, please consider liking it. It really helps my channel. Subscribe if you're not yet subscribed, and also share it to any other sensitives out there that might find it useful. If you're looking for more of this kind of content, plus support with your self-care routines and anything related to therapeutic yoga, then consider heading to my website where you can subscribe to my mailing list. You'll get a nice free ebook as a gift. And yeah, that's it from me. Take care for now, and I'll see you on the next video.